Right, hello once again YouTube. Welcome back to a bit of a progress update on the game I'm currently working on. Like I say at the end of some of my videos, I do make games as well as play them. This is Sel Mounta, Siege the Demon Castle. This is the second part of the little RPG series that I've been doing. Sel Quinta has been out for a while now. It's still good. Go play it. There'll be a link in the description. However, I've been working on the sequel. I've done a little bit of an update on this once before on the channel, sort of announced that it existed, showing where we were up to. We have hit roughly the 2/3 of the way through development mark, which is why I'm doing a bit of an update on it. I have been sort of plugging away with it in the background. This is my day job, as it were. Whoops, I'm knocking stuff off my desk. So, I wanted to update you a bit of what we've actually been doing. So, last time, I believe the swamp was the area that was being worked on. Way past that now, we have finished the entirety of a certain bay area and the internal caves. We've finished a massive city by comparison to how big I normally build these maps. Very large area for an urban environment. And we've finished a tower, which has a bit of a secret inside, so I'm not going to spoil that too early. You probably won't ever actually see the top of it. You'll probably only see it up to about there, but it's a big structure. But yeah, what's inside there I'm going to keep as a bit of a secret. Same for a lot of these areas as to what's going on. I don't want to spoil the plot too much, but effectively the idea is, story-wise, that you're helping the king of Sel Mounta. It's a little bit like the first game, but you're onto a completely new island, and there's some stuff going on. There's a little bit of a, as you can probably guess by the name, a little bit of a problem going on with the local demon population. Admittedly, they have not got their full sprites yet, as you can probably see by the fact there's still the normal colour scheme, as opposed to the black and white everything's supposed to be, but the vast majority of this area is done. I believe it's literally like, I think it's those guys and like a single area that I've got to, yeah, this one area that I've got to do some of the sprites for. I've actually done some of them already. But yes, the vast majority of the second, sort of third of the game is complete. Trying to think what would be another good thing to like show off. Well, like perhaps tease you guys with more than directly showing off. There's a whole bunch of new enemies. A ton of new ones. So these are all the areas so far. A1, A3, A2 is the city. It doesn't have any enemies. A4, 5, whatever. Have a look how many we had for A7. Or Area 7. Yeah, there's some stuff to look forward to there. There's a lot of new enemies, a lot of new encounters. I might also go over a few of the mechanics that will be new for this particular game in a moment. We've got a bunch of new animations. Oh, what would be a good one to show off? We've got a few to show off. We've got some of the new summon animations. I've been learning effects here. We've got a few, let's do a non-fire one. A few slightly sillier ones. Character just goofing off, not doing what they're supposed to. A few more elemental attacks. Big punch. And some very big ones. Yeah, that'll be that's attached to quite a mean skill, or at least that's the idea. Battle testing is something I'm kind of doing some of as I go along, but I'm saving a good chunk of it till the end so I can actually play through it and be certain exactly how it's going to play out. Right, what was it? I was going to do the animations. There was something else. Brain. Oh yes, I was going to go over some of the new systems for the game for those who haven't seen the first part, which is apparently a lot of you because it was quite a while back and the channel has grown quite a bit since then. So, the idea for the game is it is a 6-man at first. I won't spoil who the new member is, but I will spoil that the party's going to get a new member part of the way through this game, and even starts with one different member compared to the first game. But it is the same cast. The majority of the cast from the previous game are carrying over, so it's been kind of interesting to write, given that this is an RPG party that kind of already exists to some extent. It's sort of a bit of a weird balancing act trying to manage having the player, like, be up to speed if they didn't play the first one, which is entirely possible. We have kept the Wisp system. So the idea is, most of the world is black and white. from a technical level, this is effectively to allow us to merge art styles and things from various assets and not have things seem too weird. Considering my art skill it's alright. Not the best in the world, but I'm getting better as well, working on this game, but I wouldn't say I was a genius. So, to make things stand out, they're interactable, we have these wisps. Even says there, blue wisp white something interactable, or sometimes optional dialogue. Now, in the previous game, there were 3 main kinds that would mark different interactable things. Blue wisps were usually either optional text, perhaps a little interaction with somebody, an item you could interact with. Green wisps marked a decision. This was usually a point where you could talk to one of the other cast members, but you could pick which of them to talk to, and you'd get a little bonus related to it. They're still there. There's 1 or 2 areas I still need to add them to that we've done so far, but they are still there. And were there any others? Trying to think. There was 1 more, I believe. And pink wisps, or purple wisps, marked optional extra hard boss fights. None of those have been made for this game yet, but they are going to be there. There are going to be some, and they will have some unique loot and treasures. So if you feel like taking on something quite a bit harder, they'll be there. I might even do an optional super boss. I'll see what you guys think of that one. Sort of like a... what's the Final Fantasy one that's famous? Emerald Weapon? Ruby Weapon? I can't remember, but something like that. So kind of super strong extra boss that might even be even stronger than the normal final boss. However, we have some new ones. White wisps will replace the smoke on the map to mark area transitions for areas that aren't like obviously like a cave or a door. Just a little bit more obvious. It's animated so it stands out a bit more. Gold wisps will mark boss rematches. That's right, you can rematch the bosses because you could only fight them once before. Red wisps, meanwhile, mark enemy lairs. The idea here, if we go... Yeah, this can't be changes, I don't want to save that. Go to the hilltop. Not the hilltop, the caves, even. Notice there's one here. So the idea is if you talk to this, as it says, red wisps like this one mark monster lairs. They're filled with an unending tide of creatures, and interacting with one of these lairs will summon a random encounter. Looking for loot, test builds, or just feel like a fight, then seek out the lairs. They'll summon enemies from the area you've been to. Literally just picks one of the random encounters that could spawn that area and sums it up for you to fight. So, if you want to pick a fight, you can do that. Now, one thing I should mention is that you won't get EXP from it. And that's because EXP is gone in this one. At the moment, in the current plan, EXP's gone. We have replaced it with a milestone system. So the idea is, you finish a zone. So you've got like A1, 2, 3, whatever. Again, ignoring 2 because it's 2 is technically the city. But yeah, you finish these zones, your party will level up. So there's no optional grinding, but you'll still have fights. And there aren't random encounters either. You don't have to worry about roaming enemies. Or at least again, under the current plan. It's entirely possible that could change, but the current plan is no random encounters. Instead, you'll have these green... I don't know if this is the right word, they're more like shinies, but... These green marks will show enemy encounters, and they'll be blocking certain parts of your path a lot of the time. So, you'll still have to fight your way through things, with the largest green markers, like this one, marking boss fights. Once you've beaten the boss of an area, gold wisp will appear, and you'll be able to fight the boss again if you wish to. So that's one of like the biggest new systems, I would say. A lot of old systems will be coming back. Most of the status effects have come back. Some of them might be more there might be some extra ones. Some of them might work a little bit differently, but most of them are going to be the same. The TP system is still there, so the whole like do damage, build up TP, use skills. Where's an example? These are all the base game ones, but we're not using any of those. I've been able to design them all. There's a lot. There's a lot. For example, Samson, who is now a party healer. After some events of the previous game, I won't spoil any more than that, but he's changed class, as of the rest of the party. Patcher patches the minor wounds on the party, heals 25 HP, but has a short usage delay and it uses TP. Now, I don't know if this was explained in the previous games, that most of the TP moves, if they hit, you will actually gain about half the TP back, so it's a little harder to drain your TP supplies. It works a little bit differently for multi-hit moves, but generally, if you actually land the attack, you'll get a bit back. So it's a little bit more forgiving because the bar itself is lower. You've only got a max of 100 in this game. So, you may have to consider how to use your moves, and of course you have a completely different moveset. Now, I'm genuinely trying to think, was there anything else big I was planning to show off that we've been working on? Oh, scripts. we've got a bunch of new scripts. I don't know if I mentioned in the previous game, I used to use Yanfly's scripts. She's, well, I don't know anything about her beyond that she is a coder that used to make scripts for RPG Maker, still does. I actually have started to pick up some of those scripts because they were very useful before. There's a bunch of updated ones for this engine. So we will have a bunch more mechanics and things that I wouldn't have been able to do in the stock system. A lot of it will be similar, but it'll look a bit nicer. Some of the animations run a bit better. Various things have changed up. There'll be some better looking menus and things. A lot of stuff is still semi-prototype. A lot of the balancing, like I say, I'm leaving till later, but the gist of the areas is in. The writing is in for all the finished areas. A lot of it's looking fairly good. But yeah, as I say, I would say we are at about the 2/3 mark. I won't make any promises on this, but that would indicate that, given the amount of time it's taken to develop so far, which is about 7 months at this point, probably a release could be expected around March, maybe the month after. March, April, I believe. Hang on, gotta double check this. I'm not very good with months. Yeah, April. So maybe around March, April time, we'll see how it goes. It might take a while to finish, might not. Christmas might get in the way. I don't know. Is there any other areas we could show off? A nice looking that wouldn't be too spoilery. Got the catacombs. I won't spoil the exact layout, but there'll be a fair bit to do in here. A little bit of a maze type area. What else could I show off? There's the... No, I don't want to show off the tower. Tower is big spoilers. Don't want to do that. There's like a few various buildings you can go into in the city. There's different things going on inside each of them. But yes, hopefully you've all enjoyed that little look at the game we're working on. It will, like I say, it won't be out for a few months yet. There's still plenty more to do, but it's in a good state. Especially considering I work on these games solo, so there's a lot to do. Making a game, as it turns out, is quite a lot of work. And by it turns out, I mean I was already fully aware of this. I'd already released one before I even started working on this one. But yes, it is actually quite a lot of work, especially when you've got to like write all the dialogue, which I like doing, but like, oh, it's fine. There's only like one of these. It said no, most of these NPCs will need a second bit of dialogue each. It's like, oh, you know, we're actually I can't even say why they would have a second line of dialogue each because that would be spoilers. So most of them do have 2 lines of dialogue each, but those ones are special. Yeah, so you talk to them once, you get something. I like this one in particular. I like this kid. But I'll let you guys read that if you wish to. But yeah, I think that's a fairly good, quick little look at where we're at. In terms of the channel itself, we'll probably be stopping on Stormworks for now. Not because I don't enjoy it. It's been kind of interesting. But there is kind of a bit of a problem in it at the moment, which is that it's in way worse state than I realised. Like, I've always been one who's like, yeah, Stormworks is fine. It's got some issues, but it's fine. And I'm like, oh no. Like, the DLC has got some problems. C, A, desert tsunami. B, flooding desert. C, the fact the refinery has no feedback anywhere for whether it's actually working. I think what happened ultimately, if you remember, we couldn't find the metal. I think it actually just got automatically dumped on the floor and despawned, and we didn't even realise. So that's not ideal. But yeah, so we should be, ideally, from the next episode, which might be tomorrow, it might be the day after, it depends on how recording works out. We should be back from the depths. We should be able to finally finish that cruiser. So hopefully all you guys have been patiently waiting for me to actually get back to the game they came for. Don't worry, we'll be there soon. Right. Hopefully you've enjoyed this small little look into our game's creation. Actually show up, you can have a little look if you like, some of the new status effects and things very briefly. So I won't spoil too much, but yeah. Hopefully you've enjoyed this little look into what we've been doing on the game. I'll see you guys next time, and you'll see this game in a few months, hopefully. Goodbye.